So accessory organs are going to be our last topic of our videos for digestion. And accessory organs aren't in the direct path of digestion, but they are equally effective in their ability to help us digest our foods. So we're talking about three accessory organs: the pancreas, the gallbladder, and the liver. And each of these are going to contribute enzymes or other molecules to help us digest. So let's begin. Chemical digestion in the small intestine. So there's two accessory organs that are going to be directly connected to the small intestine, and these organs are the pancreas and the gallbladder. So pancreas and gallbladder are directly connected. And then we also have our liver, and our liver is going to be indirectly connected. It's actually connected off of the pancreas, where we have a common bile duct. So beginning with the pancreas. Pancreas is connected to the small intestine, and it makes the pancreatic juices, and these pancreatic juices are then sent to the small intestine. So it contains sodium bicarbonate, so sodium bicarbonate, and this helps neutralize the pH of the chyme to make it an optimal pH for the small intestine. So it's a buffer that neutralizes the chyme. So we know that chyme has a pH of 2.5, way too acidic, which is coming from the stomach. The sodium bicarbonate reacts with the hydrochloric acid in the chyme coming from the stomach, and this causes a neutralization to bring the pH to a 7 or 8, which is more optimal for the enzymes to occur in the pancreas. So lipase is another part of the pancreatic juice. Lipase we know is an enzyme, and it is going to break down lipids. Trypsin, another enzyme, and we know that trypsin breaks our polypeptides into our peptides, so smaller amino acid chains. Pancreatic amylase, another enzyme, and this is what breaks our starch into our maltose. So we've talked about these before. These three enzymes are secreted into the small intestine for the breakdown of these macromolecules. We have a fourth enzyme that we haven't talked about. This is nuclease. It's an enzyme, and its function is to break down nucleic acids. And nucleases isn't necessarily something what we hugely focus on, but it's good to know that it is in the pancreatic juices. And the last thing that the pancreatic juices contains, water. Super important, because we know that water is needed for the hydrolytic enzymes. So we've already learned all the enzymes in our digestive tract are hydrolytic enzymes, and we need the water in order to help break down our macromolecules and for our enzymes to function properly. So our gallbladder, we already said, directly connected to the small intestine. It's also directly connected to the liver. And its major function, store and send bile to the small intestine by the common bile duct. So bile is made in the liver. It is only stored in the gallbladder until it is needed in our system. Key note here, bile is not an enzyme. Like we said in the last video, it's an emulsifier, which means emulsification, physical digestion. It increases the surface area of our lipids when it breaks it down, which in turn increases enzyme activity. Again, moving on to the liver now. So our third accessory organ is the liver. 6 functions of the liver you need to know. B, 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 U. The way I remember this, B5U. Kind of like B44, the band, except for our band now is B5U, which plays music for our liver. So our first function, our first B, blood sugar. So our liver regulates our blood sugar, and it does this by allowing insulin and glucagon, which are hormones, to attach to it. So it regulates our blood sugar by hormones, and those hormones are insulin and glucagon. Second B, blood detoxification. So all our blood runs through our liver and the toxins are taken out. So an example of a toxin would be alcohol. And if you overwhelm your liver with toxins, or if you have, just like if somebody has a chronic alcohol abuse, our liver is going to start to break down and can eventually result in failure. So blood detoxification, our liver can filter approximately a liter of blood per hour, which is a pretty decent amount. Third B, bile production. So in bile production, our liver, we know that our liver produces bile, and it can actually produce 1 ounce of bile per hour. Fourth B, blood proteins production. So our liver actually produces proteins that are specific to our blood. So produces proteins specific to our blood like hemoglobin. So once blood cells die, they need to be regenerated, or they need to be broken down to be removed. So we don't want them just being dead and floating around in our body. So our liver is going to break these down. And so our red blood cells break down approximately every 3 months. That's their lifespan. And our U, so B5U, is urea. So urea, NH3, and it is going to be produced in the liver. So moving back to the pancreas has 2 major functions. One is an exocrine gland, so it's going to allow molecules directly into your organs or your ducts. So this is for the digestive secretions. The other major function is the endocrine gland, and this is where it releases hormones directly into the bloodstream. So our pancreas produces hormones insulin and glucagon, which are released into our blood. So the major role of our insulin and our glucagon is blood sugar regulation. So if you have high blood sugar, so let's just say we ate a huge meal, you're needing to break down some of the sugar that is in your body. And we do this, or the pancreas does this for us. So, the pancreas and the liver do this for us. So the first part of blood sugar regulation, if you have high blood sugar, your pancreas is going to release insulin. So your pancreas releases insulin. Once the insulin is released, it's released directly into the blood. So the insulin is going to travel through blood, and it's going to travel to your liver. So once it gets to your liver, it is going to bind to the receptors of your liver. So binds to liver receptors. So this is on the cell membrane like we've talked about before. And once it binds, this causes a reaction inside the cell that allows the membrane to open channels to allow glucose in. So channels open for glucose to enter. So we have our hormone, it binds to a receptor. The receptor tells the cell membrane to open up its channels so that glucose can flow into the cell. And then finally, once there's enough glucose inside, the glucose is converted to glycogen, which is the storage product. So when there's enough glucose, glucose is going to be converted to glycogen, which is the storage product of our glucose. So if we want to get our blood sugar to go down, which means we need to get some of that glucose out of our bloodstream and into our cells so it can be stored. So that is where insulin comes into play. So that's if we have high blood sugar. Let's talk about if we have a low blood sugar. So low blood sugar meaning we need more sugar in our bloodstream. So if we have low blood sugar, the first thing that's going to happen is that the pancreas is going to release the antagonistic hormone to insulin. So our antagonistic hormone is glucagon. Again, once glucagon is secreted, so glucagon travels through the blood to liver receptors. So the receptors on the liver, they are going to cause the glycogen, which is the storage molecule, to be broken down and to release glucose. So the receptors, so after binding, the glycogen is converted to glucose to be released. And then last but not least, glucose is released back into our bloodstream. And now that it's in our bloodstream, it's going to increase the levels of our blood sugar out to a more normal level. So what you should get out of this lesson: structure and function of our accessory organs, their enzymes, macromolecules, what they secrete, that kind of thing, and blood sugar regulation, how it works.